Monu. So you've
Hi,
gone
Sangeeta.
through all the questions, and so we'll start from the very beginning, which is just tell us a little bit about your early life, your childhood, to enable us to get to know you a little better.
Yeah, sure. So I was born and brought up in Jalandhar in Punjab in a large joint business family. So no working women in the family. And it was, it was just kind of different for everybody to think that I am going to be doing something more with my life. I was academically very bright. So I was on a path to do something different. And my family was very supportive of this. And like my mom played a very significant role in my early life. She was the main driver who was always pushing me to excel. And it moved from academics to silly things like flower arrangement competitions or a candle race or a sports day. But
Mhm.
that got into my DNA.
Wow.
So I grew up with this one trait, dominant trait of perfection. Now, it need not necessarily be the right thing or the wrong thing because it's been both a boon and a bane in my life.
Okay.
So, okay. So that in a nutshell it was. And okay, let me tell you one little incident that happened in my life. And I think it just kind of reflects on how I was brought up. So
Mhm.
I was somewhere in the 10th grade or the 11th grade. My mom was traveling, dad was sick, house help wasn't there for some reason, and we just needed some khichdi for my dad. Okay. Now, as a woman, now this would be like 30 years back, 35 years back, right? Imagine the society then, you're in a small town. And I called my mom. I was so frustrated. And I said, you haven't taught me to cook anything. I can't even make one dal chawal, right?
Hmm.
And what my mom said was something which has stayed with me till now. And she said, I just want you to focus on your academics, on your college, on your career. You have to do something more and beyond. You will
Okay.
one day hire people to do all this work for you. So I want you to make your life more meaningful. So
Wow.
that is how I was brought up.
Yeah.
More like a
Sure.
boy than a
So I'm sure that had an impact on your life because this is like 30 years back, this was huge for a mother
yeah.
to say that, and that too living in a small town, for her to say that and, make you not learn cooking, which I think most of us, I mean, this was the biggest thing
And
that,
that it was the done thing
yes,
to know
absolutely.
all this. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So then how did you choose banking as a profession or as a career option?
So Sangeeta, it was very funny. At that time, we were generally not spoiled for choices. So I went into banking just, I would say it was a default option. So I did very well in my 10th boards. And
Mhm.
so I topped the district and everything. So we went to Delhi to pick up a course, and economics had the highest cutoff. Okay. And
Okay.
Lady Shri Ram College had the only girls hostel in the higher, best, better colleges. So I
Mhm.
landed up in ECO in LSR. When
Okay.
I finished, I took my management exams. I went to IIM Bangalore. And then I just applied for the day one job, the best jobs for, it's like that. And Bank of America was the day one blue-blooded bank offering best jobs. So that's how I landed into banking. Strange, right? But as my career progressed, and now I've done 24 years in banking,
Mhm.
I realized very soon that it was just a perfect fit for me. And
Okay.
and the things that banking brings about for a person, or why it's a great career choice. And let me say that, let me put it down into 4 or 5 points. Is that number one, it actually leverages your education. So
Mhm.
I was an economics grad plus a finance MBA finance major. Spot on. For anybody else who's looking at banking as a career option, you actually use your knowledge when you are banking, especially in corporate and investment banking, what I did, right? So
Mhm.
it keeps your brain stimulated, it keeps your learning going on, right? Very, very important.
Okay.
Secondly, what it does is that the career growth opportunities are tremendous because banks tend to be very large organizations. So you have the ability to grow vertically in what you're doing, get into leadership roles, create businesses or you move horizontally, learn new skills, do something different, explore, right? And thirdly, because the customer base is so large that you end up tackling new situations everywhere. These are skills which are so important that you learn how to solve problems
Yeah,
because you
yeah.
see them every day. And alongside, you meet accomplished people, you learn from them, and you build relationships. So, so
Mhm.
that and and it's very rewarding, and I actually want to say this is corporate and investment banking, because banking is also again huge, and
Mm.
every part of it will have a different angle to it. But there is so much in my business which was focused on providing capital to businesses,
Mm.
so much satisfaction in seeing that you made the right choices, that the businesses have flourished, and you're part of their growth story, right?
Mm.
You've actually helped growth in those businesses. So yeah, all of that, and everybody knows banking is the backbone of the economy.
Yeah.
It's not going to go away. It's an integral part, and so. But the only thing I want to add here is that fintechs have now come on the scene, and they are providing very innovative offerings, which I think are creating good partnerships for the banks. So while banks are not there, not going away, fintechs are also a great option as a career choice in financial services.
Okay. Okay. So you think, I mean, the 24 years that you spent being a banker were very rewarding in terms of the growth opportunities they offered and also the acknowledgement, the appreciation of your work. So growth in every
Abs-
possible way.
Absolutely, and very rewarding.
So why did you quit then?
Very interesting. So that is again something I feel somewhere that is part of my success in my career. The
Okay.
ability to take risks, the ability to reinvent, and the ability to change, adapt, to learn, right? So I was feeling by the end of it, because I did 13 years with my last organization,
Mm-hmm.
that I had built a very successful and large business. I was on a high when I was creating the business. And towards the end, it becomes a BAU. And I was not learning anything. Learning curve is flattened out and stagnant. So I wanted to do something, one, build it from scratch again, build anything. It's
Okay.
like, I tell people that my baby had grown and I wanted it to fly and I wanted to raise another baby. So
All right.
yeah, so
Very
that,
interesting. Very
yeah.
interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
So to have that satisfaction of creating something else, because I still have a lot of years to go,
Of course.
and to learn something new.
Great. Great. So, okay. So, some of the challenges that you faced in your journey in the banking industry. So,
Um,
challenges as a woman and challenges otherwise. We're talking about both of them here.
okay. Long career. I've had a really long career. Multiple challenges. Let me highlight one or two of them,
Mm-hmm.
and where I think somebody else can also learn something. So
Yeah.
there was a point in my career when I was stagnating, unable to break into the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And I was feeling ready, and it was frustrating. And so, and I has always been a fast track person, and so this is really unsettling for me. So here's something that worked for me. Number one is, don't shy away from asking. I kind
Mm.
of picked up, in that book Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg.
Yeah.
She says we as women often don't ask enough.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
So yeah, so my advice to everybody who's in such a situation is to reach out to your manager, demonstrate you are ready, right?
Mm.
And ask for the promotion. And it sure worked, right?
Mm-hmm.
So number two, because we women hesitate, and I don't see the same hesitation in the other gender.
Not at all. Not at all. They
Yeah.
ask even if they don't deserve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
True.
other thing I would say is to anybody who's stuck like this is have patience. Have
Mm.
a long view of the future. One of the things I realized is that career growth isn't always linear.
Yeah.
It comes in steps, but the step will make up for the linear growth. So bide your time, right?
Okay. Mm.
Yeah, have patience. It will happen.
It will happen.
And lastly, I would say that, just uh, you can only control your actions. You don't control the outcome. Okay. As if you
Yeah.
understand that well, then you just have to trust the process. Go back to the process, do what you do well, bring excellence to your everyday, do your job well, the results will show. And all these three things really worked for me.
So, but were there anything that came in the way of your not being able to work the way you wanted to? Like I said, challenges or struggles that you had to. I mean, also because you're a woman, and also otherwise being a banker.
So obviously when you're stuck at a level, you're figuring out what's wrong, right? What is it? So let's say one of the other things that I figured was that being a woman, having a family to balance, a husband who has a career in Delhi, in-laws who have a social life in Delhi, and we've always lived with in-laws, and kids at school, I couldn't move locations. And for financial services, Bombay is the default place for any senior banker. It's like a given, and it actually becomes a big hurdle and a challenge in your career growth. So I actually worked around it by traveling a lot, like anything. Did
Mm-hmm.
not let it become a hurdle. I was physically present whenever anybody needed me for
Mm.
external meetings, internal meetings, strategy meetings, client discussions, anything, right?
Yeah.
Second thing I figured was creating visibility by way of raising my hand for cross-functional projects, not directly my responsibility, but
Mm.
taking on additional work, which was relevant to the bank beyond my role. And it not only got me the skills, but also got me in the right spot with the right people. It
Mm.
did, of course, create extra work, but all the worth it. And the other thing I would say is internal networking is very important, because when you're not in the same location, the communication gaps catch up.
Yeah.
And so to bridge that physical issue of not being able to move, see, if it was not a woman's situation, I think for a man it would have been easy to say, I'm moving my family to
Yeah.
Bombay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't do that. So internal communication, continuously building, and genuine relationships with internal stakeholders, so you are on the same page in terms of the relevant issues that are going on in the organization.
Okay.
So yeah, this was one of the things. And as a woman, let me say specifically, overall, I've really felt that I've had to work harder as being a woman in the corporate space,
Mm.
just to prove that I'm equal. Okay.
Yeah.
And this was more so in my early days when my credibility was not established. And of course, it doesn't help that when I started 25 years back, there are not so many women in the workforce. The rest of the workforce doesn't know what to expect, or they don't have the confidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it eased out subsequently.
Mhm.
And over a period of time, working hard has just become a way of life for me. So
Oh.
it's just kind of melted away.
So something which was a challenge, but over a period of time, it helped you to learn, and you feel, I mean, so much the better, because if you had to work around things or if you had to work hard, yes, at that time it may have been a struggle, but ultimately it did help you.
Yes.
So so what about things like where women like, so like during meetings, or when you have maybe completed an assignment or a proposal or something, do you think that women are not given as much importance or appreciation as a man, or it never happened with you?
I think so. For me, things could have been a little different because I had two very long stints, right?
Okay.
So I was 11 years with my first organization and 13 with my second, which meant that, we all grew together over
Okay.
a period of 10 years, my male counterparts and me. And so it creates a very different level of relationship. Having said that, I do feel that because there are not enough women at the top, The men probably have a tendency, it's a default situation, to believe in other men because that's their comfort level. You
Yes.
understand that situation and you don't understand a woman's situation. For
Mm.
example, very early on in my career, a nice project came. It was an M&A thing, right?
Okay.
And there were two of us who were management trainees or the first year, AVPs and things like that. But the manager by default called the guy
Mm.
because that needed overnight work. Okay.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
okay, so you had to, I mean, it was just like a very urgent thing. We got to know at 6 p.m. and it had to be delivered by noon next day. So you needed to be in office. Now the thing is that who do you fault here? I don't know. Maybe they don't know whether can you call a woman to office at 6 and ask her to stay the whole night.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, or it's just like a default safe choice. Call the guy, right?
Which is probably
And
you can't blame anybody for that. That's yeah.
yeah, but what I now find is that because of the digital evolution, it's just things are becoming at par. A woman can take a call on Zoom and work
Yeah.
throughout overnight. It's just almost as effective as that. So
Yeah.
things are changing. But yeah, somewhere I thought that, this it's like a default comfort with your male counterparts.
Yeah.
And the thing for us women to do is as we become senior and we get there, we promote more women. And so I hired a lot of women in my team. I coached them on multiple situations because I did come across a situation where, let's say, a young member of my team, and she's saying, this client has asked me to meet him for coffee or for a drink, right? What should I do?
Mm.
These are the little things that women start feeling little hesitant about and don't know, are uncomfortable, and how to say no, you know.
So
So
what is the
so
best thing to do?
I said it's your choice, right? He
Okay.
has asked you to say no, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. End of the story. There's no need to overthink anything
Okay. Right.
because it's an equal world now, right? I mean, and I'm talking about a much younger woman who
Mm.
joined later,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, and she said no, and it was gone and never brought up again.
Okay.
So, yeah, so little things. So, a lot of coaching. So, if we had senior mentors, they would have eased our journey out.
Definitely. Definitely. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I thought we didn't have enough senior women.
Yeah. Yeah. That is true. That is true. Okay. So a woman, a banker, a mother, a friend, sister, daughter, everything. So how do you balance all the various aspects of your life? I mean, how would you suggest a woman should do it? So maybe you could share some experience with us.
Yeah. I love us women. We have so many balls to juggle and we love doing all of them, right?
Yeah.
I won't drop any ball because that's what keeps us different, innovative. We have the variety and that's what keeps the mystery around us. So yeah, but that's what makes it all that more important to learn how to balance.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think really works, and it's a cliched thing, but prioritization. When
Yeah.
you have so many things to do, one needs to keep in mind that 80% of the value is created by just 20% of the tasks, right? So
Correct.
you have to focus on that 20% first,
Mm.
get them out of the way, and then go down to the balance. Now it's a very difficult thing to do, to be able to really drill down to that level and say, okay, this one's going to give me only 1%.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that prioritizations worked very well for me.
Mm.
And I would say the other thing that I have depended on all my life is believing and trusting in people,
Mm.
especially when you get to work. And you I like to work in teams, even if it's my team under me, but we are all one team. Okay, I understand what's your potential, what's your skill set. Once I understand that, I trust your work. So we
Mm.
avoid duplications, we bring in efficiencies, and it also creates the path for effective delegation. so
Yes.
that the right work goes to the right person. Okay. Now, there's something very interesting I want to share here. I love what Indra Nui said in one of her interviews.
Mm,
Okay. Somebody was asking her about how she balances her life.
mm.
And she says that I focus on things that I need to do personally, never do anything that does not require your personal involvement. Okay,
Okay.
which
Mm.
really means, in my words, is that you cannot carry the entire load alone. You have
Absolutely.
to share it with people, and that makes you vulnerable, but that's okay. It's not a world of being independent. It's so much better to be interdependent.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's how you all grow together. So I really have worked that way in my life. So prioritization, this thing, believing and trusting in people, and at home a lot of supportive family,
Yeah.
leaning on people, leaning on friends, leaning on support staff.
Yeah.
and uh, and we, like I was telling you, we've always lived with my in-laws, and so the parents have always the children have always had grandparents at home, so I've never really had any insecurity about leaving them alone,
Mm.
even when I'm traveling, even when I'm working. A great supportive husband who values your career as much as his.
Yes.
I
That's
think,
essential. Very, very
yeah.
essential.
And
Yeah.
you're lucky to get one like that, because I don't think you can do anything to change
Yes.
someone who isn't.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
All right. So in this long career, and now of course you've switched also. So anything that you can say has been your biggest success? Or what would you think has been your biggest success?
Professionally speaking, building my business in my last organization
Uh-huh.
was a very big challenge, because I came from an MNC bank with very established procedures and a totally different business and a client set. And I moved into a private sector bank which nobody knew about, which is actually making losses. And it didn't have a name, it didn't have a credibility, and to create a business which I didn't know anything about. And so it was just too much uncertainty, but I took that risk and
Mm.
I deep dived in because of just self conviction. Okay, so I learned the new skills on the way, I worked hard at it, and I was, I think created something which was so hugely satisfying for me, and I contributed so meaningfully to the organization that
Mm-hmm.
I think, very professionally speaking, it has been my biggest success.
Okay.
But personally speaking, I find my ability to learn and grow,
Mm.
which has been tested time and again, is what I think as a human being, that's my success. So, from a person in a small town, and to move to a large city and to get into a great college and an MBA, and great jobs, and then flipping, believing in myself, and changing from one level, one kind of work to another, and now to a totally different kind of work altogether.
Yeah.
So for me, that self belief and conviction and the resultant growth as a human is a huge personal celebration.
Great. 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 Okay, so we have good days, we have bad days, but even if the day is bad, we still have to, go to work and, actually work there and deliver. So, but not every day is the same. Some days you just don't want to do it. So, what do you do when you don't feel like going to work, or you're like demotivated, or something didn't work out the way you wanted to do, but you still have to go out there and show yourself, show your face? So, how do you deal with those kind of days or situations?
So the good thing is you don't have a choice. Okay.
Okay, all
So you
right.
start with that premise, because banks are very structured organizations.
Mm,
And I've grown as a very calendarized, organized person. Like I say, time is my biggest friend and my biggest enemy.
mm,
The way I've been able to pack, like I like packing 30 hours in a 24-hour day. And the way to do it is, I have figured, is to just have everything on the calendar back to back to back. You have the discipline of doing something in that given time, and you're going to be able to do everything. By the way, that's one of the things how I've been balancing my life. And
Mm-hmm.
on a very, humorous note, my calendar even has my husband's anniversary. Okay.
Husband's
It says,
anniversary.
so like, yeah, that's also something. So
Isn't
I'm
that
calendar.
yours too?
Yeah, that's right. So that's why it's so funny to say Abhishek's anniversary, because I know my gift, I have to be organized in time, I have to make time for the day and the eve and all that. So
Yeah.
yeah, so going back to, of course there are days like that. But when you know something has to be done, I
Yeah.
am so glad to say that the need to not do has no choice. We all have our internal demons, right?
Mm.
Something is tugging at you, at your moods, because you don't want to do it because of something happened, somebody said. But there's a rationality. If you don't do this right now, this deal is going to go away. If you're not at your best, this client may suffer.
Yeah.
Or, there is this internal meet, you need to make a presentation, you might as well prepare for it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I have figured that it's easy to push away your demons when there are too many things on your plate. And it's not really bothered me. I haven't had too much free time to say, okay, I'm not in a good mood, can I take a day off? That has never worked for me. So my thing has always been, bring it on, give me more work, and I'll be happy by the end of the day. And honestly, I think it's there for a lot of people. If you do something productive, it gives you that creative satisfaction. I did this today, and what was pulling you down just melts away.
Great. Yeah, that's actually yes. And I think the fact that, when you don't have a choice, then you just do it. I mean, you might as well, you have to swallow that pill. So might as well do it and, just get going. That I think,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much the same, but yeah. So,
And
um,
the mind is pretty smart. It's very easy to distract it. You dive into work, you forget if you're not feeling good.
yes, 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 yes. So,
Yeah.
Monu, 10 years from now, what will you be doing? Something different or what you just started doing now?
Okay. Okay. So let me take it again into a personal and a professional. And let me tell you something, so that you'll understand where I see myself 10 years from now. So, about 10 years back, I embarked on this spiritual journey of
Okay.
meditation and self introspection, just with a simple goal of becoming a better human being, someone who's more in control
Mm-hmm.
of oneself and not swayed by the daily changes in your life, because that's not in your control, right?
Yeah.
So I did Vipassana meditation course along the way, and I also have recently certified as an executive coach.
Okay.
And so and I think all of this gave me a reasonably high EQ, which has actually become the tip of the arrow for me in my finance career. Because as you get senior, these skills really start to matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, 10 years from now, on my personal side, I see myself building on a giving uh, journey. Okay. In my pursuit of giving, my way of giving is to be coaching young women who are just starting their career.
Wonderful,
Okay.
wonderful. Okay.
I want to help them navigate the journey so that they're able to resolve their inner conflicts and grow faster, better in their careers. and
Okay.
and I really enjoy coaching. It's my calling.
Mm.
And even now, in between my hectic work, I try and do at least 2 to 3 hours a week, so
Okay.
that yeah, so that it's building up. I also see myself as a person who's into health and fitness, both mental and physical. And I think that's the way to lead a long and healthy life. There's so much one wants to do, and the body needs to support that. On
Absolutely.
my professional front, Sangeeta, I see myself as having established multiple impact funds. I just started my first one. And through that, creating a meaningful difference in my corner of the world, some impact to some entrepreneurs around me.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm really
That's a
focused on
wonderful
that.
thought. That's wonderful because these people, of course, they need all kinds of support. Yes. So,
That's true.
so some of the most important learnings of your life,
Professional.
both
Okay.
professional and personal. See, the idea behind this piece is to inspire and motivate other women. So whatever you think, in your professional capacity or personal capacity, whatever you can share, which can help others, that is other women to be more precise.
Yeah. Okay. Let me start with the professional side of it.
Okay.
So when you're building your business, right, and that's more like a domain knowledge. There's something okay. So there is a book by Simon Sinek
Okay.
called the book is called Start with the Why. Okay. So
Start
what he
with the
says is the why,
mm.
WHY.
Okay, got
The
it.
why followed by the what and the how create a golden circle, which is the framework you need to work to create great businesses, happy teams, and personal satisfaction. Okay.
Okay.
So I worked on that when I was building my businesses. The why, let me explain. So the why of customers come to you. Okay.
Mm.
So we drilled deep down into it, created our USPs on that. Why do the customers like us? Strengthened on that, and it led to lasting client relationships.
Okay.
The second piece of the why is the vision, right? Why are we doing this? And to somewhere down in the team to be able to understand that so that every team member understands why we are doing it. And so the last team member is not just laying the brick, but building the cathedral.
Wow.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, they have the
Very well
vision.
put. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. And lastly, to make the whys realistic, which is your vision needs to be followed up by the what and the how to create tangible deliverables. So which is what kept us on track with targets. And so you're delivering what the business needs to do and growing regularly, continuously, periodically.
Mm.
So three golden rules. Start with the why and follow this through. Very effective at building businesses. Yeah.
Mm. Okay.
As you get senior, what really starts to matter are your softer skills. Because
Mm. Yeah.
domain knowledge, you already have the domain knowledge, it's assumed. So
Yeah.
you build on that. How do you differentiate yourself from another person who's the same? Is how well you can handle stakeholders.
Mm.
And in that aspect, a lot of leadership qualities start becoming important. How do you take your team along? Right.
Yeah.
And so my key learning has been that I am only as successful as any one of my team members. So
Mm.
to carry everybody along, which means that their success is my success. So it starts with recognizing everybody's potential. Not everybody is good at everything.
Of
What
course.
can this person do, right? And giving them that responsibility. So you also create very effective delegation in a very corporate language. And secondly, that you provide resources. You understand your teams. Like nobody really wants to underperform, but if they are, what is it that they need to improve their performance? Provide the resource availability. I have always worked with the mantra of creating a common objective through a pull and not a push. So it's never me telling them that you need to achieve this target. It's me discussing with them that as a team we have this target, and if your region doesn't achieve its, all of us are going to not do well, and it reflects so poorly. So there is a pull. That person wants to do well because they want to be part of a performing team.
And they can
And
relate to it, so that may.
yes. So that and lastly, I think something very important for every leader is to take ownership for the team. It's
Mm.
very easy to say something goes wrong that XYZ person did. But if you bask in the glory of the success of the team, you got to take the hit for any failures. And I think that works really well in building real loyalty and real loyalty in the team and motivation, right? People want to give their best. So those are some of the things on the leadership say. I think on a personal career growth side, I would say that a lot of times when we are in a corporate job, we are always looking at the next shiny object. Okay. We're never satisfied. I've become an AVP. I need to become a VP. Now I want to become an EVP. Now want to become an MD. It's a never ending thing, right? But the ability to understand that sometimes we have to do jobs which are unsung, right? It's like laying the brick. Even if you don't understand, you're making a cathedral, that laying of brick is so important.
Yeah.
So you are doing important work, have the patience. Don't get demotivated if you're not getting the next thing, right? I mean, there's so much that I've picked up on a very personal. Okay, this is something on a little different tangent, but let me also share this with you. Is that in corporate lives, it's very easy to get swayed by the positions, the status, the money, the admiration, the corporate power. All of that comes as you're climbing the ladder. So for all the people that who are our audience and all the young women, I want to say that, okay, let me give you an example. You have a boat, and a boat needs water to float on, right? Without water, the boat is non-existential. But if the water enters the boat sinks. Okay. Yeah. Right? So the question we have to constantly ask ourselves in our corporate lives is, has the water entered our boat? And the water in this context is your pride, your ego, your relation to your status and corporate power and all of that. It requires a lot to keep that at bay.
Yeah. It can get to your head. I mean, all of that.
Yeah.
It's only,
yeah.
I mean, you're only human. Okay. All right. So, how does the world take to a woman who's done well for herself?
Different takes for it's it's a big wide world and there are all kinds of people here. And very pleasing to know that now these days especially women achievers get celebrated, they get honored. There's just so much recognition that is showered. So I hope it's getting the desired effect of encouraging younger women to come in the mainstream. But the flip side is that not everybody would get it and not every time. So my advice would be to all the women who are doing the work is just focus on the controllables. We only control the controllables. Don't worry about what anybody is thinking or what are they saying about you, because it can really mess up with the head. Focus on your job, do what you do best, and results will follow sooner or later. So don't get worried about how the world reacts.
Okay. So what about people shifting gears and taking on different careers midlife?
It's so happy. I mean, it's just so pleasing to see that. But it had to happen. Look at the pace at which the world is changing. It's so rapid. It's in the technological space, digital transformations. You have social expectations have changed, right? The sensibilities have changed. So people are reinventing themselves. And they have the ability to do that because the opportunities are so immense. You remember our times, you could only be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, or something like that, and maybe a banker. Yeah. But now these are old world school careers, and there are so many new things that are coming up. And on top of that, it's the fact that people have the ability to take risk. Because the security levels are much higher than they were. We are no longer in the generations of our parents where they would join one bank and stay there the whole life, or they would be in one government job and not move. Now it's the era of abundance. It is coming. Our children are more secure than we were, and we were more secure than our parents. So they believe in their financial security, they believe in their capabilities, and they're making the switch because they need to learn. And not to forget that it's this generation which needs gratification much faster. So I got tired of my job after 10 years. They'll get tired in 3 years. They will have said, I have achieved it. I have learned whatever I could, and I can do better somewhere. I can learn something. I can contribute more. And the environment is supportive. Yeah.
So you think people are doing it because now they have the ability, the awareness, and of course the financial stability in that sense. You do have the money, so you can, look for other options. And of course, so much information available all over. All right.
Correct. Totally. I would agree with that.
Okay. So young girls beginning their careers, maybe, just finishing college and looking to start their lives in various ways, personal, professional. So any particular piece of advice that you would like to give them?
Actually, okay, yeah, I would. And I would say that let's start with domain knowledge. Whatever you do, please be technically very sound. Knowledge is super important, but layer it, it's a given, and layer it with an attitude to learn, to adapt, and change. We are in a fast paced, rapidly changing world. So the winners are the people who can understand the next trend and who have the ability to reinvent and learn new skills and flip to that.
Yeah.
So I would say always be on the ball with that.
Okay.
Number two, I feel that as women, we have so many things to do, right? And you said that, right? We have so many roles and responsibilities. So time is our biggest friend, biggest enemy. Don't fritter it. Don't ever fritter your time away. It's very precious. Use it judiciously.
Yeah.
And be it prioritization, be it leaning on people, be it building teams who can support you, it's very important to see what works for you. Be it a calendarization organization. And I would like to add that one of the things which I really feel I missed and important for all the upcoming women is to create a network of other like-minded career women, working women, right? So they seniors lean in totally your inner circle and have that relationship so that they can guide you, they can mentor you, they can open doors for you. And this go a long way in bridging the gender gap at work. So and I must say, by the way, that now is the best time to be a woman. There is so much awareness about the gender issues, and some of the regulations are trying to bridge that. Let's say women on board initiatives, and some of the things which were bringing the inequality between men and women are dissolving because of the digital transformation. Like knowledge is accessible across equally to everybody because it's now on the internet, right? I said meetings are now equal for anybody. Some women can't travel, all of that doesn't matter. You can do a Zoom. You are at par with that. The physical attributes of men don't really matter so much. And so such things that it's, I think, a wonderful time to be a woman and a time to kind of shine.
Yes, go out there, be independent, be your own person because it's the best time.
I agree. Totally.
And I think also that, no question of women not working.
Yes, I know. I asked my boys, I've got two boys who are 17 and 15. And I asked them that, would you like a working woman or a non-working woman as your wife? Okay. And I so loved the answer. I mean, there is no question of having a non-working woman.
Yes.
It is, I want somebody who can mentally match me.
That's very, very important. And I think women have to kind of take note of that as well, especially girls who just think that, like even now you come across girls who are just, right now they're not married. So they are seemingly working somewhere, having their own ventures, but where somewhere you can see the idea is just to, get hitched to some guy and then just stop working. And I don't know, maybe it's their backgrounds. I mean, we are from professional backgrounds, so we think like that, we talk like that. Maybe somewhere the backgrounds are such where, they don't want to do that. But I think it's absolutely essential for every girl to be independent, which is have your own money and do what the hell you want to do with it.
No, you're right. This financial independence is something which brings so much confidence in your life,
Yeah.
and it's addictive. It's very difficult to walk away from it. When I was pregnant with my first child, actually the child was born, and in India you can't step out for 40 days. And I needed money for something, and I called my secretary in office, and I said, please send someone to get a check signed and take it out from an ATM and send me the money.
Yeah.
You don't want to ask anybody for the money.
Anyone. I know. It is very, very addictive. So yeah,
Yeah.
this is one addiction you should kind of get, right?
I love that. Yes.
Okay. So now just the last question. Can a woman have it all?
And
I
why
think
not?
I know what your answer is going to be, but still.
No, I'm saying why not? Yeah, let's
Why
start
not?
with
Yes, absolutely.
it's a perfect time, like we were talking about, great
Yeah.
time to be a woman. And just we have to work through the obstacles and see how to resolve them.
Yeah.
It's absolutely possible. And we should get it.
Yes.
And I think the
Yes.
women have the ability to get it better than the men,
I agree.
because we have so much variety in our life. We have so many little things which keep us going every day.
I agree. Absolutely. So yeah. So that's it.